Hello, my name is Laura Sarchet, and I am the Inclusive Higher Education GA at the University of Rochester. And I'm here today to share some tips on accessibility in the college classroom for you today. Welcome. So let's start with a little bit of context, and I'm talking about who might be in your classroom. So as a college professor or a TA or even a tutor or a staff member at the university, you might interact with a variety of students in the course of your day or throughout your classes. So one example of students that you might interact with is a student from our tour program. This is our transition opportunities at the University of Rochester program in conjunction with BOCES through the TIPSID grant. And these students are students with intellectual developmental disabilities, and they are generally auditing classes at the undergraduate college. And they will be paired with a coach who's like a tutor who attends class with them and helps the professors to provide different accommodations and accessibility details for their assignments and any kind of adjustments to assignments, things like that. So you might have a tour student in your class. You also might have a student with a registered disability through the Office of Disability Resources. And these students may or may not disclose their disability to you, but they may need accommodations through the Office of Disability Resources, and they or their coordinator will reach out to you if that is the case. You also might have other neurodiverse students, which means students with a different brain operating system or different ways of thinking about things. It's another word for a student with a disability, thinking about things a little more inclusively. So you might have neurodiverse students who are not registered with the Office of Disability Resources. And you may also have neurotypical students, which is a student without a disability. And all of these students need to have equitable access to your classroom. And we're going to talk about how to do that today. So the objective for today is that you will develop a better understanding of accessibility in the college classroom, and following this presentation, to identify one action step to take in your own practice. I want to start by sharing this visual. It kind of shows the difference between equality, equity, and liberation. Liberation is also sometimes called accessibility, or justice. So the first image is of equality, and it shows 3 individuals of varying heights standing on identical boxes behind a fence at a baseball game. And so some of the individuals can see and some of them cannot see because they're all on equal sized boxes that do not provide the correct support for them. Now, if we look at the next image, this is equity, and this is providing the appropriate accommodations to each individual. So the image shows an individual who is taller, not standing on a box, an individual of a shorter height standing on one box, and then an individual who is even shorter standing on 2 boxes, and all the individuals can see at the baseball game. So this would be kind of like reactively applying accommodations in your classroom to create equitable access. Now, the third image, and this is kind of what we're trying to get at in our classrooms, is liberation or access or justice. And this image shows the 3 same individuals from the first 2 images watching a baseball game, but the fence has been removed. So this shows that the environment that we create is what creates or doesn't create barriers to access for people. So without that fence there, there's no need for accommodations because everyone has access, and there is justice in the systemic way that we are providing access to our classes. So here's just a few tips for creating accessibility in your classroom. Include a syllabus statement. Make sure that you have a statement in your syllabus about how to access Disability Resources Office at the U of R. And we have examples of that on our website. Always provide clear and concise directions and expectations for your students. So this can be in writing, this can also be visually, this can also be verbally. So this, the best way is to provide a combination of those things. So you might write the agenda on the board and then also have the agenda listed in the syllabus and on Blackboard, and then verbally go through the agenda. But it's always making sure that you're being extremely clear and not vague with your directions, not implying that you want students to do something, but actually stating what you want the students to do in your directions. Captioning videos and images. So kind of like I described the images that I provided with you on the previous slide, or providing a caption underneath to describe what the image is of, and then always captioning your videos that you provide as well. Providing electronic copies of readings and materials. This can be very helpful for students, and allows them to, like I said earlier, access them visually while they're perhaps hearing you read through a document, and then they have access later on their computer as well. They can also print things out, but providing those readings and materials from your courses in multiple ways is very helpful. Be really intentional about your course policies, and make sure that there's room for flexibility. So students who are registered with the Office of Disability Resource and other students need flexibility for health reasons, for mental health reasons, and for other disability related reasons. So just make sure that your policies have room for flexibility, that you're allowing students to access you through email or after class, before class, during office hours, so that they feel like they can communicate with you to tap into those flexible opportunities. And finally, one last thing you can do is to share your slides, record your lectures, or crowdsource student notes. So students might be able to share notes with each other after a lecture. You can post your slides on Blackboard. You can post a video of your lecture on Blackboard, or a lot of professors will share through Google Documents or Google Drive. Those are great ways to allow students to go back and look at the resources or the lecture that you've created after the fact, so that they can kind of help their memory with that. So your job now is to choose one small action step that you can do. So this could be adjusting one thing from the previous slide to enhance your course's accessibility. This could be asking a colleague that you work closely with to keep you accountable in making sure that you're inclusive in your practices. View one of our other resources on inclusion from our website or on our YouTube page, and I'll link that in the notes to this video so that you can access those resources. We also have documents with more steps to creating an inclusive and accessible classroom. So those might be a great resource for you to check out. Reach out to me for professional development opportunities if there's something that you think would be really helpful for your department. And if you have another idea, you are the expert in your classroom. So if you have another idea for how to make your classroom accessible, please feel free to reach out and share that with me. I'd love to hear what you're doing in your classroom to create equitable access and justice. My contact information is, you can reach me through email at ihega@rochester.edu, or through the tour or Office of Disability Resources website. And I will put those links as well underneath in the comments for the video. Thank you so much.